And these next bills are going to deal with some form of tobacco. So again, I remind testifiers, keep your comments focused on tax policy. We know the hazards of smoking. If we do not keep it focused on that, we'll just move to the next testifier. So with that, Senator Limmer, do you have any amendments to your bill?
I do, Mr. Chair. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce the A1 amendment as an author's amendment.
Okay. A1 amendment. Senator Senja moves the A1 amendment. All author's amendment. Senator Senja moves the A1 amendment and author's amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. A1 is adopted. Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment that you just passed simply removed the bill's language in Section 1 regarding the definition of a premium cigar. We are not changing that in this new amended version. The goal of Senate File 849 is simple. It reduces the state tax on premium cigars. A premium cigar is defined separately in statute. It actually means that any cigar that's hand-constructed, hand-rolled, has a wrapper that's made entirely of whole tobacco leaf, has a filler and binder that's made entirely of tobacco, except for some minor adhesive and other materials used to maintain the size, texture, and flavor of this particular product. It is a premium product when compared to other cigars that are currently on the market. And because of that, they do go for a little higher price. But that higher price is greatly affected by the tax on each cigar that's being charged. Non-premium cigars are 50 cents a cigar. A premium cigar is charged $3.50. And because of that, we are now, those that are marketing these products are at a terrible disadvantage on the market. In neighboring states, they do not charge anywhere close to the state of Minnesota. In Iowa, the cost is 50 cents a cigar. Wisconsin, it's 50 cents a cigar. North Dakota and South Dakota, I think they're a little less. And of course, they also have competitors on the internet now that are far less than what we charge. We have testifiers here that can give a little more detail onto their business and how they're disadvantaged by Minnesota's tax policy.
Thank you. Welcome to the committee. And just remind you, be as concise as you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
For the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Derek Smeagol. My wife and I are the owners of Churchill Quality Cigars and Gifts in Victoria, Minnesota. We sell only premium cigars and accessories. There's no cigarettes, vape, snus, chew, flavored cigars, Swisher Sweets, any of that. We are not a multi-purpose store, so there's no need for anyone under the age of 18 to come into our store. We have point of sale posted in 3 different locations: on the front door, humidor door, as well as the register that we ID anyone under 27 years old. And we've passed all sting operations that have come our way. Our small business supports 5 employees and their families in and around the community. We pay our property taxes, we pay our payroll taxes, and we pay all other taxes and fees required by the city, county, and the state of Minnesota. Our vision is providing a unique experience for the cigar smokers to enjoy their investment and purchase boxes and accessories to enjoy at home. We're continually solicited and happily donate to community and private fundraisers. We support the Children's Star Gala for Children's Hospitals and Clinics for Minnesota Foundation. We support the Pacer Center, which are champions for the children, or champions for children with disabilities. Cigars and Baseball, which promotes building new baseball fields across the state of Minnesota for young children. Victoria Fire Department and other local events and personal fundraisers. We have a male and female clientele, virtually all walks of life, who enjoy our business, but only purchase 1 or 2 cigars to sample and then purchase what they like online or across state lines, saving hundreds on a box. And I did not start this business to be a sampling center for online or out-of-state purchases. That said, we're struggling to stay in business due to the state of Minnesota's outrageous tax structure on premium cigars. We cannot continue to compete with online sales at 0% tax or neighboring states at 50% or 50-cent tax on a cigar when we pay 95% of the cost of goods up to a $3.50 cap, plus another 95% on the actual shipping costs. And this is all before we even sell anything. All right. We collect it on the backside, but that's money that we've laid out as a business owner. This tax is not really changing the behavior of smoking cigars in Minnesota. It's only hurting our retail businesses, and this is witnessed on many social media sites where we're only driving these consumers to less expensive alternatives to purchase online or across state lines, resulting in lost sales, jobs, business, and ultimately our state tax dollars. 85 to 90% of my clientele purchase online or out of state. And we get questions daily from people asking about something that they bought online and if we carry it. And if they have, and if we do, they compare pricing and suggesting that we're gouging them as a retailer. These taxes are restricting our cash flow, which is affecting our ability to increase inventories to compete with variety. It's affecting our ability to invest in our business and lower our debt ratios. It's affecting our ability to continue engaging in community events. And we're asking that you consider keeping our small businesses, our jobs, and tax dollars in Minnesota versus driving this business to other states or online where Minnesota not only loses 100% of the tax dollars, but also will lose our small businesses and jobs supporting our local communities. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Hey, my name is Mark Wolk, W-O-L-K, and thank you, Chairman. I'm the owner of Stogies on Grand, and we have been operating on Grand Avenue for 19 years. We are not only a small business with 10 employees that count on us for their livelihood, we're also a vital part of the community on Grand Avenue and the greater St. Paul area. We are here to tell you today that the state of Minnesota continues to drive our customers away with outrageously high taxes. These customers are finding alternative places to shop, spending their dollars to make purchases online or in neighboring states. This has been a persistent challenge to our business for years. However, in recent years, the problem has increased due to our 95% tax, which does not serve the state's intent to change people's behavior. All this tax has done is to change their shopping habits. They continue to smoke cigars. They just drive a half an hour or less to get to Wisconsin or purchase them online. Earlier, Derek showed an example of the price difference between our cigars and the competition. Well, for good measure, in January of 2015, the state decided to add a 95% tobacco tax on our shipping. That is correct. Think about what I just said for a second. If it cost me $100 in shipping, it now costs me $190 because of this added tobacco tax, adding even more cost to our cigars. I still can't understand the logic in this tax. Can you? Our ability to compete has been taken away. We want to make it clear that we do not promote or do we want any underage smokers. We are not a convenience store or a gas station where minors can enter and roam free without getting carded. People under 18 are not even allowed in our stores. I want to reiterate that although the state's intent in raising the cigar tax is to drive cigar smokers to quit, in reality, they have just driven them to take their money out of Minnesota. This tax is not changing their behavior, only their shopping habits. The consequence is that our state is losing revenue unnecessarily. Minnesota does not regulate any other industry in the state this way, and in targeting one small industry, Minnesota is driving us out of business. We are pleading with you to lower our taxes, keep the tax dollars in Minnesota, and keep local businesses in business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for these testifiers? We'll have a Senator Dziedzic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick one. Do you know what the average, or do you have an average price of a premium cigar?
Well, the range is going to be anywhere from, I would say, $6 to $35. It could be even higher.
The majority of probably what we sell is the $10 to $15 range.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Members, any other questions for the two testifiers? Okay, so gentlemen, I have to ask you to step away for a moment. We have four other testifiers. I believe they are Kahn, So we are looking at Janelle Waldock and Dr. Peter Donnell first. And Larisha. Welcome to the committee. Again,
Thank you.
I just respectfully ask you keep to this tax policy piece because we do have a few
Absolutely.
more. Thank you very much. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Janelle Waldock, and I'm the Vice President of Community Health and Health Equity at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. Today, I'm wearing the hat of co-chair of the Minnesotans for a Smoke-Free Generation Coalition. We're a coalition of over 50 organizations that are working to prevent tobacco addictions. We are going to keep our comments focused on tax policy, and actually, we've worked hard to make them concise as well, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Our coalition has big concerns about Senator Limmer's bill. It would halt progress that we've seen, that we've made in the state. In 2013, Minnesota passed significant tobacco taxes touching all tobacco products, including cigars. Tobacco taxes have a direct impact on youth smoking. Raising the price effectively taxes tobacco out of the hands of kids. After the tax passed in 2013, data showed that our youth smoking rate decreased to its lowest rate ever. And that's just not on cigarette smoking by kids. It decreased cigar smoking as well. In fact, the year after the tax was the first time Minnesota ever saw a decrease in the youth cigar use rate. The tax worked. Cigars are a classic beginner tobacco product. Unlike cigarettes, they can be bought singly, and the tobacco industry tailors them in a way that draws kids in. For boys and young men in particular, large cigars of the type described here are attractive. They symbolize success, wealth, and power. Unfortunately, they are no less healthier or less addictive, and tax policy is a known prevention tool. There's no reason to give them special preference under the law. It benefits no one but the tobacco industry, which gets richer by creating new loopholes that keep people smoking. Those of us in tobacco prevention have seen that time and time again. Supporters of the proposal argue that it has nothing to do with kids, only adults at the top of the economic ladder who can afford expensive cigars. Senator Dietzich just asked a question about the price of premium cigars, and the actual definition in statute in the bill says that it's any cigar over $2. So that's a pretty cheap tobacco product. This proposal lowers the maximum tax on a cigar from $3.50 to 50 cents, an 85% cut. That affects a $100 cigar and a $5 cigar in exactly the same way. Tobacco's health impacts fall hardest on low-income people, and this cut will make those $5 cigars a lot more affordable for them and for kids. Viewed this way, a bigger tax would keep kids from smoking and would only affect those who can afford to pay. Those who can afford $100 cigars can afford the extra $3.50, I would argue, and it should be an easy choice to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Waldock.
I have a handout if staff wouldn't mind passing it around. Thanks.
I'll grab it from you. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Latricia Vita,
All right, thank you.
and I am the Health Policy and Advocacy Manager at North Point Health and Wellness Center in North Minneapolis. I'm also a cancer survivor, so my work is my passion. I love what I do. When I heard that there is a proposal to drop the tax on premium cigars, I had to ask myself, who stands to benefit from cutting taxes on expensive cigars? Well, the tobacco industry for one, and then also who will sell more products and increase profits. And I suppose there's a certain type of cigar smoker who will benefit. I think everybody knows the stereotypical fat cat in an expensive suit, driving a town car and smoking a $100 cigar. People like that would be happy to see this bill become law, save some money for their investment portfolio or something like that. I don't know. I don't know anybody like that myself, but they're there. As you've heard earlier, the cheapest premium cigar costs about $5. If this bill goes through, the price of that cigar is going to be cut almost in half. If someone is more likely to buy a cigar at $2.50 than at $5. What kind of person do you think that is? It isn't rich Uncle Moneybags, I can tell you that. It's the people that I know that would more likely buy that $2.50 cigar. When you push down tobacco taxes, it hurts who it always hurts. It hurts low-income people, it hurts minorities, it hurts kids, because it pushes tobacco down into their price range. A pack of cigarettes in Minnesota today costs at least $7.50. For many people, that's a lot of money. Enough money, as we know, for them to say no to smoking. It's not worth it to them also. But older friends that, at $2.50, well, that's another story, right? So like $7.50 is one thing, but $2.50, we know that that will get young people started smoking because it's in their price range, and their older friends will help them to buy smokes. That's why taxes like this one you're talking about reducing keeps kids from starting. Maybe the fat cats, lounge owners, and premium cigar shop retailers don't realize that. Maybe they realize, but they just don't care. But I hope that everyone on this committee does care and does realize that. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record. And if you have something new to add, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Peter Donnell. I am a member of the Twin Cities Medical Society and also a member of the Physician Advocacy Network. I'm going to just add additional information to what has been said already. Tobacco costs Minnesota a lot of money. If you're thinking about money from a state government standpoint or a private industry standpoint or the individual citizen within Minnesota, tobacco costs a lot of money that we don't get any benefit from as a state. This cost comes from either increased healthcare costs or loss of productivity for state workers, private workers, or people just in the community. I think one of the most important things that tax policy can do is to help prevent these healthcare costs that are associated with the tobacco products. I'm here to strongly express my disapproval and recommend to not pass Senate File 849, along with any other effort to reduce the tax on tobacco products in whatever form that tobacco product is, and there's a lot of them out there right now. It really will help to reduce the healthcare impact and healthcare costs impact on Minnesota, and we know that that's skyrocketing right now. There are many smokers, cigar smokers, who believe that cigar smoking is a safer alternative and therefore less costly to them. But there really is no difference in the healthcare costs. And actually, you have a lot more healthcare costs related to head and neck cancers that you don't see as much with standard cigarette smoking or e-cigarette use or other forms of tobacco use. So in summary, I would just strongly recommend, for the sake of the healthcare costs in Minnesota right now, to consider not passing Senate File 849. It's in everyone's best interest not to reduce the tax on these products.
Thank you, Doctor. Members, any questions for the three testifiers here? Okay, thank you very much. We have one more on this issue, and it's Caitlin DeVos.
Good morning, Chair and members.
Good morning.
So my name is Caitlin DeVos. I'm a resident of Plymouth and happy to be able to testify in front of my state senator, Senator Paul Anderson. I'm also a member of the American Cancer Society Minnesota State Leadership Board and a volunteer for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. And I'm here today to also speak in opposition of Senate File 849, which would lower the tax on premium cigars. I've committed much of my life to the fight against cancer. When I was 19, I lost my mom to colon cancer and learned early on the toll that cancer takes on a family. It was an emotional burden. We had a lot of financial stress, and I put my college on hold for her at the time in order to take care of her. On this committee, you have the power to reduce cancer rates through smart tax policy so that other families don't have to deal with a cancer diagnosis, 1/3 of which are caused by tobacco. But that's not my only reason why I'm here today. My dad is here with me as well, and he also has experienced a loss due to the effects of tobacco. His father was a heavy smoker, and he remembers listening to him his rasping cough every night growing up. And his dad died in his 60s due to a heart attack that was caused in part by his heavy smoking of cigars and cigarettes. He is a reminder to me why it's so important that we keep tobacco taxes high on all tobacco products in order so that fewer people start and more people quit. All tobacco products, including cigars, are addictive and cause disease and death. Cigar smokers are 4 to 10 times more likely to die from laryngeal, oral, or esophageal cancers than non-smokers. The legislature needs to pass tax policies that prevent youth from smoking and help current smokers quit, not that make tobacco products more affordable and more accessible. Tobacco taxes have been proven to improve health and save lives, and our state's tobacco tax has prevented so many families from hearing the words, "You have cancer." So why would we go and change that? With my story of how cancer and tobacco has impacted my family, and knowing that tobacco taxes have only helped the lives and the health of Minnesotans, I ask that you please vote no on Senate File 849. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Members, any question for the testifier? Thank you very much. So with that, that concludes the testifiers. Senator Limmer? Final comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring just a little personal note on this discussion that I'm bringing forward is regarding tax policy. It's regarding the business practice of a retailer. I happen to believe that perhaps government shouldn't make more money on a product than what the manufacturer makes. And in this particular case, a $10 cigar equals a gross profit for that individual, less money into the pocket of that individual than what the government achieves in the tax that we charge. Now, I want to emphasize gross profit. That means that the debt service on the business, the cost of electricity, labor, other property taxes that may be incurred by that business still has to go on to that. So in many cases, a premium cigar isn't, at least in the average $10 price range, isn't really making the business a whole lot of money, if at all. It might even be a loss leader. But that isn't changing the smoking habits of the consumer. Everything that was said here today by the opposition, if we remain the state that has a $3.50 tax on a single cigar, that isn't going to change the smoking habits of that individual, but it does change the buying habits of that individual, and we send those buyers to other locations, hurting the businesses in Minnesota. They're buying their cigars cheaper in neighboring states, or more importantly, they use the cigar store to sample one cigar, and if they like it, then they buy their product on the internet, where they may not even spend any tax on it. So we're really not changing the smoking habits of the consumer, only the buyers. That's why I'm here, and more importantly, as a footnote, I too had a mother who died of lung cancer, and she didn't smoke at all. And I understand the emotion of what some people bring to this debate, but I'd like to focus on the business aspect of it, because I think that's the important reason why I'm bringing this forward today.
Thank you, Senator Limmer. Senator Franson, had a question, comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Limmer. Focusing on that business standpoint, I've heard the testimony about online sales. We're trying to fix that here in this committee in terms of the fairness between online retailers, and we had some testimony yesterday about this issue. So that's an issue that we are aware of as a committee and as a state, and we're also kind of tied with what's going on at the federal level with this issue. But certainly, we need to have fairness, tax fairness between our border states. But at the same time, when you're buying something online, you're also paying taxes, shipping expenses. So that is another avenue where, it could kind of balance it out. It all depends on where you buy them. I'm starting to be a bigger online salesperson, but depending where you go, you can get free shipping. I get that. I've actually shopped at one of our testifier stores, Stogies on Grand. So it's a very nice store. So, and I really didn't think about the tax when I purchased the cigars that I purchased at your store, but certainly believe maybe some people do go online and buy the big boxes of cigars. I'm not one of those customers. But the driving out of state is also an inconvenience, and I know that was part of the testimony. You're spending time and you're spending money and gas to go to other locations and other states to buy that. So, from a business standpoint, it's not an argument that also drives me. What does drive me is the correlation between that, the tax and the habits and the actual outcomes. And I represent a district which is heavily influenced by a lot of doctors and nurses who know the benefits of this tax policy when it comes to habits and changing those. And I have to say I can't support this bill because I do believe there is a stronger argument to changing those habits. And I think you've heard some of it without going into too much health policy. But it's relevant because this tax changes those habits, not just the purchasing habits, but the actual health habits as well. So, I get that we're trying to be fair with retailers and be fair with the business perspective, but in light of all the different proposals that we have ahead of us to consider, I'm not sure this is where I would want to start cutting taxes when I know that there is a benefit to our state. And we have taken a stance as a state, as a legislature, to have a smoking, a different policy for smoking than other states. And I think that's a good thing. And we want to be fair, so everyone is going to have the same burden in terms of the tax. And again, I don't think this would be something I would support in light of all the other areas that we can be cutting taxes that potentially can make a bigger difference in people's lives. So with that, I appreciate you bringing this discussion forward. I think it's been a healthy debate, but I can't support this bill for those reasons. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Francis. Senator Bach?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think our testimony's gone a little bit off the tracks. This is the Tax Committee and not the Health Committee. And I get how people passionately feel about that, but I think it would be, our consideration on this table has always been to try to build a tax system that wasn't overly regressive, our overall system. And that matters. I mean, who we put the tax burden on matters. And taxes that fall disproportionately on low-income people are considered regressive. And, Mr. Chairman, it might help if the department maybe could get us the Suits Index on what tobacco taxes are, how regressive they are. And our overall tax system is regressive, like almost all tax systems are. But if we continue to promote taxes that make our system more and more regressive and push the Suits Index further and further away from neutrality, I think we create a real unfairness in our system. And I think when we consider things like this, we have to understand how it impacts the overall tax system Minnesota has and the regressivity of it. And that's my reason for being on the bill. I think this is probably the most regressive tax, and maybe the department can come tell us on the Suits Index, but probably the most regressive tax that falls disproportionately on low-income people that we have in our entire tax code. And people do go online and buy cigars to minimize their tax liability. It's just a fact, and Minnesota retailers are paying a price for that. And I just think it's worth being competitive about, but even the larger reason is the regressivity of our tax system and tax policy that makes it more regressive is problematic.
Thank you, Senator Bach. Just one final comment. It's obvious that the position here in the tax, what this tax is being used for is to deter action or deter change behavior that and it ends up having a negative impact on a particular business, whether you like that business or not. The tax policy that has been imposed and is being advocated still is a policy that is designed to deter activity and have a negative impact on business. So those dollars, and as Senator Bach alluded to with regressivity, does have an impact on people's behavior and on many other things in this state. So we'll keep that in mind, I think, as we go forward, and we'll try to address those issues in total. So with that, Senator Limmer, Senate File 849 will be laid over as amended, laid over as for possible inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So